Okay, so today we are going to discuss about Newton's first law of motion. So motion we have already discussed. Motion means like when any object is changing its position with respect to the rest one, or it is just a reference study, so that is called the motion. So now let us discuss the laws of motion. So first law of motion we are going to discuss. What is that? That is called the law of inertia. Now, what is law of inertia? If Newton's first law of motion is called the law of inertia, because here like inertia we are going to discuss in this law. So inertia is nothing but the tendency of any object to hold that hold that state, you can say. If a body is at rest, so that body is trying to hold that state, okay, whatever the object is. If it is rest, so he is just trying to be at rest. If the body is in motion, so the body is keep on moving. So that is called the inertia, because inertia is nothing but the tendency of any object to move or to be in rest. Okay, so the property of any object to hold its own state, original state, is called inertia. Okay, so now let us move to some examples. Okay, why do why do the dishes stay on the table when the tablecloth is pulled out? Just imagine, when we are just pulling the tablecloth, but still the dishes are there on the table, because it is their inertia. Why? Because those dishes are there on the table, and the dishes are like due to their inertia to hold their resting state, they are not going to come with the tablecloth. So they are just want to be on the table, so their tendency is just to hold that original state. Okay, so that is why when we are pulling the tablecloth, the dishes are still on the table itself. Now, what is mass? Mass is the amount of the raw material for any matter. So, matter is nothing but that, like anything that occupies space. And mass is something, okay, that is the actual amount of that object. So the more mass of an object has, the more inertia. It means if like any object is more heavy, so the tendency of that object to hold its state is more. So it's directly proportional. Now, so the mass, if it is more, so its inertia, that is also more. Okay, so inertia is also more. Now, if it is less, so inertia is less. So inertia is nothing but the like the holding capacity, or the capacity to be in the original state. So if it is more, so the tendency is more, because like we like the thing is that it's we can connect the same concept in our personal life. See, if we have more money, so we can achieve more things, more, like material things. So similarly, the object which is having more mass, so that the object is, it is having the more inertia to be on that original state. Similar thing, similar concept, you can say. So here also, if you just check the examples, okay, like more mass of an object has more inertia. Okay, bigger, more massive objects are harder to start and stop because they have more mass, therefore more inertia. So suppose like if any object is more heavy, so it's not very easy for us to move that object from its original position. Okay, so we need to give more force, then only the object is keep on moving. So like that we can say, if it is more heavy, so it is having more inertia. Now let us move to the next slide. Okay, so here we are discussing one problem. If you spend more Sunday afternoons at rest on the sofa, watching football and consuming large quantities of food, what effect does this practice have upon your inertia? Explain. So suppose like if you are sitting and watching something, sitting on sofa and watching television, so what happened? So the answer is your inertia will most definitely increase. Your mass will increase because of this practice. If mass increase, then inertia increase. So it's a very normal thing. Suppose like if you are not doing any work, if you are just sitting and eating, so your mass will be more, and if your mass will be more, so your inertia will be more gradually. That's what we have discussed. Okay, so inertia when it is more, so then it's difficult for you also to change your original state. So suppose if you are at rest, so you want to be at rest. If you are moving, so like you don't want to change that state as well. Okay, now let us move to the next. Okay, now Newton's first law of motion is also called the law of inertia. Why? An object in motion tends to stay in motion, and an object at rest tends to stay at rest unless the object is acted upon by an outside force. Okay, so actually like when the object is in motion, so the object is like tends to be in that motion, and if the object is at rest, so the object remains, so the object wants to be at rest only. That is called, it's this property is called inertia. Okay, so like the law also says that when an object is moving, it tends to remain moving along a straight line path unless there is any force acting from outside. Okay, so if any object, okay, is moving in a straight path, so the body or the object is suppose like a vehicle is moving in a straight path, so the vehicle is keep on moving in a straight line unless you will just apply the brake on it, right? So brake is nothing but the external force. Okay, so the simple thing, the object is moving in a straight path unless you will just apply any force from the outside. So that is called the law of inertia.